All right, welcome back to Rust Order Garage. We're getting closer to making this car drive for the first time in, I don't know, what's 2024 minus 1972? Actually, make that probably 1970 because this sticker last expired in 1971. So, where are we on this piece of junk? Well, first off, I appreciate the response on my question if I should make this thing look like a sleeper or day two. And I think all 5 of my viewers, almost all of them, replied and liked the sleeper look. So we're going sleeper. I got 3 black wheels and 1 red one. So we're going full out piece of junk. I'm not even going to put the hubcaps on. It's just gonna be what it is. So yeah, my left front wheel is gonna stay red. Whatever, is what it is. So here's the list. This is where I left off. And get my marker here. So what did we do? Well, let's see. We did the rear axles in the last video, so that's done. Wheels and tires are done. Oh, and those are really, let's say, wide. 215/70s, front and rear. So I should be able to annihilate those tires, no problem. And of course, it was another marketplace buy. We're not buying anything new. Mount PCM and wiring. That's done. I'll show you what I did. All right, as usual, I went big dollar overboard and I got a PCM holder off of an express fan and screwed it to the floor. Yeah, that's it. So there's where the PCM is going to live. I figure eventually I'll make a console to cover it up with cup holders because cup holders are pretty much the priority. Got my high beam switch on the floor, the dimmer switch mounted up. Stuck the eBay fuse holder under there somewhere. There it is, up under there. So that's mounted. So one thing I did do differently with this eBay harness is, and why I didn't go over wiring up the fuse box in it, is because I'm not going to use the fuel pump relay on the eBay harness. Concession to the turbo again. I'm going to run 2 fuel pumps. The main one in the tank, which is going to feed a surge tank, and then the surge tank pump will feed the engine, and we'll go over all that. But I figured, why keep one fuel pump relay under the dash and another one maybe in the back of the car? I'm going to put everything in the back of the car. So all I did was I cut the green wire that was going to that fuel pump relay, tied it to a wire that runs to the back of the car, and I'm going to use that to trigger both fuel pump relays at the same time because they're both going to run at the same time. But we'll get into that when we get into the fuel system and the other big long list of things for the turbo. So today I got one quick little thing I want to do, and then the main thing I want to do is get this tach installed. The fast thing I want to do is, if you saw, or if I mentioned in my other video, when I first hooked up the Dakota Digital unit, the speedometer worked for like, I don't know, a second. It flipped up and went down, and I wanted to check the speedometer cable. Well, my speedometer cable was broken. So I stuck another speedometer cable on there. I want to put a drill on it and make sure the actual speedo head works before I attach the transmission. So that's the small thing I want to do. And then the other main thing I want to do, and we'll go over everything and what it takes to put an aftermarket tach like this Autometer. Now it's an auto gauge by Autometer that I picked up at a swap meet, of course. But how to run something like this with your LS swap, because so far the ones I've done and I've seen a lot of people do, they don't work. But it's not hard to make them work. All right, so first thing I want to do is do a quick check of my speedometer. I'm going to use cordless drill, of course, and my speedo cable. But did you know you have to spin this in reverse to make your speedometer work? Yeah, not forward. So first thing I'm going to do is connect this to my speedo cable. Then I'm going to put my drill in reverse. and give it a spin. And I'll probably have to put the camera inside there and we'll get a look at it. But yeah, let me move you inside. All right, here we go. I'm going to hit the drill. Let's see what the speedometer does. Looks a little bouncy and a little noisy. Yeah, well, I guess that's perfect for the rest of this car. We'll see how it goes on the road, but it looks like it's going to be a little bouncy. All right, time to do the tack. Couple things to keep in mind here with the LS. One, the factory LS program puts out a signal for a 4-cylinder engine. All right, so 2 ways to get around that. First thing is you have to look at your aftermarket tachometer and see if it has a setting to go to 4 cylinders. If it does, set it to 4 cylinders. If it doesn't, you have to go into your program and set your tachometer pulses for high and low resolution, I believe it is, to 3. Okay, 3 is for a V8 engine. They're set to 6 from the factory. So you have to go in and do that. So first thing I'm going to do, though, is open this up and see if I have a setting to go to 4 cylinders. All right, so let's open this up. And I'll post pictures showing the settings for the program, both in HP Tuners and in Tuner Pro. And sure enough, you open it up, and look what we got. A little switch and slide switch in the back, and of course it is set to 8 cylinders right now. So I'm just gonna slide that over to 4, like that, and we're good to go. Put the cover back on. So now with that, I don't have to do any adjustments to the tune. That'll take care of that part of the problem. All right, so next item when doing one of these aftermarket tacks to an LS is the signal from the PCM for the tack may not be strong enough to run the aftermarket tachometer. So you may have to add a resistor. So we're going to test this and see if we need to use one. Now, one other variable I have that you may not is this is a swap meet tachometer. I don't know if it works at all anyway, but we're going to go through it. So I'm going to test it right here on the bench for you. I have a wire jumper to the car all the way out here that's attached to the green wire on the tack. That's the trigger. I have the red wire and the black wire attached to a battery down here, so I have power to it. I went to test the light and found that somebody stole the light out of it, so I have to fix that after we're done here if it works. But what I'm going to do right now, this is just wired up as is, no resistor. We're going to see if it even moves. All right, so let's test this tack out. One other thing I forgot to mention too is I have this powered, this tack has wires jumper down to a battery. The battery ground is also tied to the car. So it's just redundant grounds just to make sure everything's going to work, if it works. So I'm going to hook up the fuel system and fire it up. See what it does. All right, we got fuel pressure. Well, looks like it works. Looks like we do not need a resistor, and the swap meet tack actually works. All right, well, admittedly, that was unexpected, because on the last car I did, the 51 Hudson with the Marshall gauges, I had to add the resistor. So I was prepared. Let me show you at least how to do it. I have a lot of resistors around because I do a lot of different projects, but basically a 5 to 10K ohm resistor, half watt, will work. Here's a 10K that I had in my stash of resistors. Hook up the meter to it and I'll show you. Put them thing on resistance. And we got a 10K ohm resistor. So 5 to 10 will work. I used a 10, at least that's what they say. I used a 10K on my Hudson, and that worked fine. Now what you would do with this is, and this is for an example, this is my 12 volt line feeding the tack, this pink one here, and this one here is the trigger line going into the tack, and you would just put the resistor across those wires. So where the 12 volt line comes into the tack key on, where you have to have it anyway, you would just solder the resistor to that wire and jumper it across to this one, like that, and that would boost the signal. So it wasn't needed on this one, and I don't know if it would make a difference. I'm not going to use it because I don't need it. But if you wire up your aftermarket tack and it doesn't work, you will need that resistor in there. And I'll post up a little diagram that's common that shows how to do it. All right, tack is in. Put a light in it. Works now. Uh-oh, the service engine student light's on. You have to take it to the shop. 200,000 miles plus on the bearings and the rings. Ring gap slapped back together. Seems to work okay. All right. One more thing off the list. All right, I hope that helped. At least maybe it helped. I really expected to have to use a resistor. But hey, that's cool. At least I know this tachometer works. And this is an Autometer tack. Does that mean on all Autometers will work without the resistor? I don't know. My Marshall tack definitely needed the resistor. But again, it's very easy to do if you have to do it. So I'm going to get this fixed. I got to put a light bulb in it that somebody actually cut out. Why they would do that, I have no idea. They did. So I'm going to put a light in this tack, get it installed in the car. And we are really close to driving this thing out. I got to put the front seat back in. And I just have to decide whether I'm going to do the fuel system first or try driving it with a 5-gallon jug sitting on the engine. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Thanks for watching. Whew, man, it's still cold out. See you on the next one.